Hi, my name's Kate. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about traveling tips for diabetics, and that includes how to get through airport security, traveling internationally, a packing list, and just some general tips. Okay, so for getting through airport security, there's lots of different information on what pumps can go through, like the body scanners and the x-rays and stuff like that. I've heard a lot of differing information both online and from my doctor. So you could also check with your doctor or check with your specific pump provider or CGM provider, whatever it is, to see what they say about going through the airport with these devices. But this is just my personal experience with that. So for insulin, I have heard that insulin cannot go through the x-ray machine, and when I have put it through that, I had issues with it when I was traveling of like high blood sugars. So I just don't trust it. So now what I do is I just pack my insulin in a bag and just have it like ready to go with my carry-on in like the front part of it so that it's just easy to grab once I get to the security checkpoint. So once I get there, I hand the TSA agent the insulin, and I just say that I'm diabetic and that this can't go through the scanner, that just like needs to be checked on the other end of it. And I've never had an issue with that. They always just take it to the other end, and then once you get over there, then you grab it. So it's not really that big of an issue. The other thing I will say is that I've heard that you should not pack your insulin in a checked bag because they put those on the bottom of the plane or something, and it can get really cold in that area, and you wouldn't want to risk your insulin freezing or anything like that, especially if you're going on vacation for a little bit. So like I said, I just avoid that. I carry all my insulin with me in a carry-on, put it in a separate bag. I have also taken ice packs with me in the bag. I've never had an issue with that. I think that if you have an ice pack with medication, I don't think it's an issue for them, and like I said, they're just gonna test it on the other end. So that's always how I do that. In the past, I have done a couple different things getting through security. I have done pat downs before, which works fine. When you hand the TSA agent the insulin, the medication, stuff like that, you can say that you're opting out of going through the body scanner. And you honestly don't have to give a reason why you're opting out. Like, anyone can opt out at any time. It's honestly kind of annoying, and it stresses me out a little bit because you have to stand off to the side of the line that people are going in to go through the body scanner, and you just have to wait for someone to come get you. And I have had this take like 15 minutes, 20 minutes sometimes for someone to come get me. And so that kind of just stresses me out a little bit because your bags still go through, and you just have to like wait and like hope that they're over there and it's fine. So I mean, it works out fine, and once they come grab you for the pat down, they just take you around and do the full pat down. They like test your fingers for the bomb residue or whatever it is, and then they do that with like the medication as well. So yeah, like I said, not a big deal. I always get to the airport super early just because I'm nervous in general about things taking long, and just like being diabetic, it can take a little bit longer. So I just recommend getting there super early to deal with that. And then other than that, I don't think there's other issues getting through it. But like I said, I have heard different things with going through the body scanner with a pump. From TSA agents, I have heard that you can go through with an insulin pump or CGM and it shouldn't affect it because it's not an x-ray, it's just a scanner. So I just go through the body scanner because I think it's easier and faster, and I haven't had any issues. Like, if I go through it and I'm traveling or whatever, I haven't had issues with high blood sugars that I've noticed because of it. So I don't think it causes any problems. And then I've also heard from my doctor that it's okay to go through with my tandem pump. So yeah, that could just be specific to that. I don't know for sure, like on other medical devices, what they recommend. I think it's generally safe. If you're scared about it, just get the pat down and just have it take a little bit longer. Like, it's still not that big of a deal to get through. And then once you're past it, then you're good to go. If you are traveling abroad, this can be a little bit different. I would always go to your doctor and like ask them for advice too if you're traveling abroad, especially if you're traveling for a long period of time. I studied abroad in college and did a 5-week trip, so I really had to prepare for this. And luckily I went with someone who was also diabetic, my good friend Heather. So this worked out well because just in case we both had like extra supplies and things like that to support each other. I had heard that you should bring a piece of paper, like a doctor's note with you from your doctors, just stating that you're diabetic and that you need insulin, that you're insulin dependent, you have to have insulin with you, you have to have an ice pack with you, just like all these different things just in case. So I brought that doctor's note with me when I traveled abroad, and just in case, in case I had any issues when I was traveling, especially since I was traveling for a longer period of time, like it wasn't just a small bag that I was putting my insulin in, I had to take a lot of it with me, and I wanted like a medium-sized cooler to bring. So of course that was extra with my, what is it called? Carry-on bag? With my carry-on bag. So yeah, just having a doctor's note, I mean, I feel like they're gonna believe you if you have insulin with you and you have an insulin pump on you. I didn't have an issue with it, but just in case, it's good to have a doctor's note. I also downloaded Google Translate, and then since I was traveling to Italy, you can download, like when you have Wi-Fi beforehand, download that language, whatever language they speak of the country that you're going to, and then you can also like save certain phrases on the app. So I saved phrases like I am type 1 diabetic, I am insulin dependent, just things that you might need to say to someone there so that they know that you're diabetic and are aware of it. And then I have heard that if you have an insulin pump, you can contact your insulin pump company and ask for what's called a loaner pump. I didn't do this personally. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I've heard, is that if you are diabetic and you're traveling abroad for like a longer period of time, you can contact them and tell them this, and then they will send you a backup pump that you can take with you just in case your pump failed while you were there, so that you wouldn't be without a pump for like weeks. So that's just what I've heard. I mean, it's definitely worth a shot to contact them and see if they would give that to you, because you would not want to be without a pump for that long. And then I think that with that, like once you get back from the trip, then you just send the loaner pump back. Other than that, all of your supplies that you're taking with you, like all of your insulin, even like pump supplies, I would take a decent amount of pump supplies and put that in your carry-on bag. You like at least like a week to 2 weeks worth of supplies, of pump supplies, insulin, whatever it is. Take that with you on your carry-on, because in case your luggage gets lost internationally, you would not want to be without all of that for more than a couple days. So just have it in your carry-on just in case. This is what I bring if I'm traveling and my packing list for diabetes supplies. So I always just get kind of nervous traveling because I just think of worst case scenario of like being caught somewhere and not having enough supplies or insulin or whatever. So I always bring way extra. I have asked previously my doctors if they can prescribe me extra insulin or test strips or whatever it is that month, so that I will have extra when I'm traveling, and I just carry that in a bag, and I just feel better about having extra supplies with me. So that's of course like my pump supplies, test strips. Even if you have a CGM, I would still recommend like bringing backup test strips and a meter, so that just in case you have it. And then extra insulin. I usually do bring, I'll usually ask my doctor for an extra like Lantus pen or the long-acting insulin, because just in case, like if your pump failed and you were on like a week-long vacation and you didn't have access to it, then that would suck. So I just like to be extra careful and just like ask for the extra prescription, and then they're usually fine about it, and then I'm good to go. Other than that, I take a lot of extra hypo snacks. Like I take fruit snacks with me, and I don't usually do juice boxes because you can't have like a certain amount of liquid or whatever through if you're bringing it with a carry-on bag. And then I don't know, I feel weird about putting it in a checked bag because you never know, like it could explode or whatever. You wouldn't want that to happen. So I just bring fruit snacks with me. That's like my go-to low snack. And I did this even like I traveled abroad and I brought a ton with me, which was very helpful because I didn't realize that like traveling to another country, they just have like different snacks there. I don't know. And you like might want your one thing, and it's just a lot easier if you have it on you and ready to go instead of having to buy it when you get there. The other thing is if you have a pump that requires batteries, of course you want to bring extra batteries with you. I had to do this before when I had Medtronic because that was battery operated. Now with my Tandem, I just need to always remember to bring my charger with me. So yeah, I would just pack that with my normal iPhone charger. And then if you're traveling somewhere warm, like I said before, I would bring an ice pack with you. I think that just having it on hand is helpful, especially if you're going to be at the beach or something like that. It's nice to have an ice pack. You could just like thaw out an ice pack before you travel and then put it in your checked bag. Or like I said, if you put it with your insulin when you're going through security, I've never had an issue with it, even if it is technically over like the amount of ounces that you can bring with you. I think if it's with your medication and they know that it's to keep your medication cold, then it should be fine. So my final general tips for just traveling anywhere is, of course, just like consult with your doctors, see what they have to say about it. They'll always give you tips on where you're traveling and stuff like that. Another thing to think about is elevation and weather, because these two things can have an impact on blood sugar. I'm honestly not exactly sure how they impact blood sugar. I traveled to Colorado about a year ago and I was in very high elevation and I didn't really notice that much of a difference. And honestly, from doing research, I've heard two different things about how elevation can impact blood sugar. So I think it kind of just can depend person to person. But I think the thing to keep in mind is that when you're traveling, like there might be outside factors that are affecting your blood sugar. So just try to be a little bit more mindful of that when thinking about managing your diabetes. And because of those new impacts on blood sugar, I would say my last tip is just to try to enjoy yourself, because you're on vacation and you want to still have a great experience and still have fun. And even though you might be dealing with some extra things with diabetes and stuff like that, I always just try to do my best and still enjoy my time and just, I don't know, enjoy the view, enjoy your vacation. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, comment below, hit like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you guys next time.